Hey, welcome back to Prairie Wings. I'm Merle, and in this video I'm going to deal with something that has been a plague ever since I've been in the trade, and I'm sure a long time before that. And what that is broken exhaust studs. So I am going to show you how I get them out. Broken studs on the exhaust has always been the norm, especially nowadays. You see the Hemis and the LS engines in this case. These studs break off because exhaust manifolds, they go through a torture fest. Expansion, contraction all the time. So that's really hard on the stud. So pretty common to break off. Usually the sign of that broken off stud is going to be a ticking noise when you first start it. As it gets warmer, it's probably going to get quieter. And over time, well, it's not going to get quieter. It's going to be a mess. So nothing to be scared of. This is not an ad, but these are a Mac pair of pliers. They're a Kinplex plier, so Cobras. And a lot of the time you can just grab on with a really good set of pliers like this or a vice grip and turn this out. I started turning this out. I got it about a half a turn and it stopped turning. So there's corrosion built up in there. If you have corrosion built up in there, we are going to want to use some sort of a heat source to offset this. What that means is I want to heat this stud up. The head is going to restrain the expansion. So when this cools down, this will actually be shrunk smaller and it'll be loose in there, even though it's full of a bunch of that powdered rust corrosion. So the best way to do it is with a welder in a case like this. Now, when I'm dealing with an aluminum cylinder head or a cast iron cylinder head, it's the same thing. Aluminum will disperse the heat faster. Cast iron will soak that in just because of the thermal conductivity of the materials, but it doesn't really apply too much in this case at all. So all I want to do is take a nut. In this case, I have a 3/8 nut. Now, there's a precaution that you want when you're using a nut. They're zinc-coated. You can buy them that aren't zinc-coated. You could try and grind some off, but you're still going to end up having zinc burn off this, and you could end up, if you breathe a bunch of this in, with metal fume fever. So you're going to want to do your best to not breathe the crap that comes off this nut. Now, this nut just fits over that stud, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and hold my breath and do a really nice weld on this. I want it as hot as possible, as fast as possible. Now this head is fully disassembled. There's nothing in it, and we have to do a bunch more cleanup and work to this cylinder head. If you were doing this in a vehicle, you definitely want to make sure that you're protecting all the ports and plug in so that you don't get spatter in. One reason is we are using a MIG welder, which is a bit of a nasty sparky deal. So all we want to do is make sure that we are getting this hot, hot, hot. If we look, we can kind of see a yellow hue on that nut. And as well, you can see the spatter that's all over here. On aluminum, it just wipes off. I held it on there long enough that I started to get a sag on there because I wanted to drive that heat in. If I was to actually touch that right now, it is still super hot. The key is walk away. Do not touch it or do not try to turn it until you can touch it. It's been about 20 minutes. Walked away from the cylinder head after that. The cylinder head itself is completely cold. So is that nut. Now, what's happened is that stud has heated up, and instead of growing larger, because the aluminum cylinder head holds it in, it would have grown longer and gotten loose in there. There's still a bunch of rust and junk inside there, so this might not be a turnout by fingers. In a cast iron head, it'd probably turn out a lot faster. This one here will still give it a little bit. Now, because it's all junked up, I want to spray some lube in there and work it back and forth so I don't damage the threads in there. this was completely locked up where I could not, I had a really good grip on that stud, but I could not turn it with this plier. It was just destroying the end of the stud. So the way this is, super easy compared to the way it was before. Pretty beautiful. Now, we were very fortunate that this stud was sticking out. Could have been a lot worse where it was in the hole or just flush. If it's just flush, anywhere that I can get it where it's flush, I'll weld on it. If it's in the hole, it's debatable how far in the hole I would use a weld. But my experience with it is a lot of the time you're going to have to use an extractor set if it's in the hole. That's for another video. I'll whip one of those out next time I have one and we'll do a video on it. I'm sure that other people have a lot of different tricks to be able to take these studs out, and it'd be great to hear what your tricks are for that. So if you don't mind, drop some comments in about different tricks on getting these studs out, because I'm sure a lot of people have different methods of getting these out. I find this one to be one of the simplest. And it's definitely stiff coming out the whole way. I'm glad we got that dirty little router out. If you don't mind, please like, share, and subscribe.